So, are you one of those amazing ladies whose kindness was used against you in a toxic relationship? Hey guys, I'm Sarah K Ramsey, and we're here for day one of our happy healing Christmas or holiday season. And I'm really excited to bring to you guys each day, now through Christmas Eve, a different topic on healing. I know the holidays can be really tough, especially if it's your first holiday alone. I remember that lovely Christmas day that I did not want to get out of bed. And I think I would just zoned out the entire day. I spent the whole day, I wasn't drinking or anything like that. It was just literally just in the bed, just with the depression and sadness, and come a long way since then. And I'm so grateful for that. I want to help you guys on your own healing journey as well, and make it as short as possible, because what I see so often is that women get really stuck in the processing phase. And, when you think about traditional ways of healing, it's kind of time heals all wounds, talk it out. And if you just talk it out long enough, then, it'll fix itself, or time will heal all wounds. And the problem with that is then the toxic person becomes the main radio station in your head, right? Whether it be toxic partner, parent, whoever it is. Toxic people train us to think about them instead of thinking about ourselves. Okay, so you start to anticipate their needs. You wonder what's going to make them happy, and you stop asking those questions about yourself. And some people call it codependency, and that's not, I don't like those words like codependency and trauma bonding and some of those things, because it makes the bridge to healing feel very, very long. And I want the bridge to happiness to be as short as possible, and that processing stage to be as short as possible for women, instead of this very long, drawn out process. And this processing of just talking about them and talking about them and talking about them and talking about them, because that means the main radio station in your head isn't your own. It's the toxic parent. It's the toxic partner. It's oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I remember it wasn't one Christmas I was depressed. It was, toxic people tend to ruin everything, right? So they always find some reason to fight, or bring something up, or, because the holiday seasons, believe it or not, are not about the toxic people. And so they want everything to be about them, right? So they turn it. And so that the day becomes about them instead about celebrating, instead of about connecting. Because to a toxic person, what their version of love is control. Your version of love is connection, and their version of love is control. So if they are not in control of the holiday, then they raise a ruckus to turn your radio station back onto their channel, rather than experiencing your own channel, experiencing your own happiness, experiencing your own dreams. Yes, exactly, Destiny. Experiencing your own life. And so when we think about traditional ways of healing, well, just talk about it, talk about what happened, obsessively study narcissism, all that kind of stuff. And that is very useful for a short amount of time. But it is not helpful for years and years and years and years, because it actually feeds the addiction to the toxic person, because your life is about the toxic person, not about yourself. And healing can easily become a hobby if we let that processing phase stay longer and longer and longer. Oh, thank you, Nikki. Yeah, Nikki was one of my private clients who I need to still reply to your message, Nikki. I haven't forgotten about you. It's been a little crazy here. Yes, Destiny, they set the stage for that Christmas. They are like, oh, no. How can I control the situation? How can I make them, keep that? They want that radio station on them, and not on yourself. And so if you're in the process of healing from something, one of the things Nikki did is learn how to change that radio station, learn how to change it off the toxic people channel. Because what happens is we start realizing that it's not usually just one toxic person in our life, but it kind of can become a pattern. And that pattern is what I want to talk to you guys about today, because I think if you had been good, kind, loving, giving, and forgiving in a healthy relationship, no one would call you codependent. But if you're good, kind, loving, and giving in a toxic relationship, people call it, codependency or trauma bonding, or hey, Elizabeth, they call it trauma bonding, codependency. And when you start putting labels like codependency and trauma bonding, that bridge to healing can become very, very long. And there was a post in a different Facebook group that really caught my eye, because it said, I hate that he's with her. I think about him all the time, all that kind of stuff. And all these comments were like, oh, you're trauma bonded, you're trauma bonded, you're trauma bonded. And it's like, okay, when you start using words like trauma bonded, it can become heavy and insurmountable. And oh my gosh, will I ever get better? And will things ever turn around for me? Will I ever experience happiness? And so I actually commented about the changing the channel, and several people are in this group now. They may be watching this from that conversation in a different group yesterday, because it's really just about changing the channel. Because if the toxic person is the most exciting thing in your life, then when you take that out of your life, because toxic people are pretty exciting, right? Even if they're horrible, they're pretty exciting. We kind of get used to living in drama and the ups and downs and that pain and, all that stuff that we're all familiar with. And it can be very, absolutely, Sharon. I agree completely about the empathetic types of personalities. And it's amazing the similarities of the people that I've worked with, and most of them have some type of spiritual practice that includes forgiveness and kindness and trying to be a good person. And in the book The Sociopath Next Door, there was a quote in there from a sociopath, and he said, I love do-gooders because they do me so much good. Because there's an article I wrote about Ted Bundy. Actually, you can check it out on Medium, and I can post it here in this link, in the link to the comments once I share the video. But basically, Ted Bundy would get women to help him. He would pretend to be on crutches, and he would drop a book, and he would have women help him. But then he would take them in the woods and kill them. It's just terrifying. And that is what I see so often, is that it's not in toxic relationships necessarily that your weaknesses were used against you. It's really that your strengths were used against you. I'm sure you can identify with what I call smart girl syndrome, which means you had never met a problem you couldn't fix. So you thought with enough work, with enough effort, with enough love, you could fix your toxic person as well. And that can keep us stuck in something for years, whether it be a parent or coworker or boss or a friend. You just think, if I'm just kind enough, eventually it will be my turn. If I just anticipate their needs enough, they won't be mad. If I just get it right, then they will love me. And that is such a sad dynamic. But what I want to help you do is flip that. That's a really different place that you were coming from, a place of strength, rather than, I'm codependent and I'm trauma bonded and I'll never get over it. And, the rest of my life is ruined and it's going to be a healing journey for the rest of my life and I'll never get over it. And I have all these scars that'll never, I see that all the time in people who I really respect, and some different, not necessarily toxic relationship specialists like I am, but people who have been through something and then started some type of ministry or some type of, work with charity or something like that. And then they talk about their scars will last forever. And I'm like, my scars aren't lasting forever. I wanted to be done with that and move on and not let the next 10 years steal the last 10 years. So whatever your healing journey is, if there's someone who's kind of saying, this is a lifetime journey of healing, just decide what you want. If you want to heal for the rest of your life, that is an option for you. If you want to be healed and then have a life, that is also an option for you. And to me, that is a much better option. That's a much stronger option. That's a much happier option. That's much it is good on the other side. Life is good on the other side, free from that toxic person, without their channel being so prominent in your head. Because when you're in that situation and all you can think about is them and their problems and their needs and their wants, and if they're happy with you, if they're not happy with you, and what they want you to do and what they think you should do and who they think you should be, it is exhausting, right? And I know you guys know that, and you're welcome to put that in the comment section about how exhausting that really is. And because I talked to a lady today, and she showed me a picture of when she left her relationship, and she had hives all over her body. Like, the hives started on her arms. She showed me pictures, like progressive pictures of where these hives got worse. She'd been in a 7-year relationship, and eventually realized he was cheating on her, and there was definitely some verbal abuse, as well as eventually at the end going into some physical abuse, and her body was completely rejecting it. And she ended up, her hives were so prominent that the doctor was worried that she was going to not be able to breathe anymore and actually die. And because verbal abuse can kill you. Absolutely, emotional abuse can kill you. It can have some just horribly long-term damaging effects even after you leave. And that's where it's so important to decide not to let that be your entire life, but then to move on. And as Destiny said, to have a life. You want to have a life. You want to be loved. You want to have love and success after a toxic relationship. You want to take hold of those strengths, that goodness, kindness, loving, gentle spirit, and find that inner warrior, right? And use those techniques to build a life you are excited about living. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions for me, you can private message me. And I'd love to answer them or put in the comments, and I'll obviously be coming back and checking this out. And I'm really excited about our 12-day adventure, and I'll be coming at you tomorrow with another live, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And you can check out those topics, and obviously all the recordings will be in the group. And I am excited to be here with you this Christmas season. I would love, if you have any questions, everyone is suspect. What do you mean by that, Elizabeth? That everyone could be? Tell me more about that and I'll answer it. But yeah, Destiny, that whole wanting to have a life, and that's so important. You don't want to just get out of a toxic relationship. You want to have a life. And those are, Merry Christmas! Those are two different things. Wanting to have a life and wanting to get out of a toxic relationship are two different conversations, and drastically different conversations, which is why I started my Wondrous Woman program, because I saw lots of people leaving toxic relationships, but I was disappointed at the quality of life after those toxic relationships. Yeah, and Elizabeth said they're all potentially toxic. I had a coaching call with one of you lovely ladies who will remain anonymous as always. But she talked about having someone with trust issues. Like, she said, oh, do you have any meditations or anything for me to work on my trust issues? And I was like, so bye, Destiny. I'll probably message you about some of the stuff you said, Destiny. But she talked about being worried about trust issues, and she wanted to get a meditation and kind of get some things going to help her with her trust issues. And I was like, wait, so this person actually cheated on you, and this person actually lied, and this person did this, and this person did that? And she said, yes. I said, so why is the problem your trust issues? It seems like you need to figure out who is trustworthy and how to tell when someone is trustworthy, and how to trust your intuition in that, and how to make decisions based on that information. That seems like a lot better path to working on your trust issues, because that can be denial. Like, we can fall back into denial. We can fall back into, I see, Destiny. We can fall back into denial. We can fall back into, oh, it's fine. It's not that bad. I'm strong enough to take it. Whatever that may be. And that's a dangerous place. You don't want to trust everyone. That's a bad strategy. And do you see that when it flipped around, it was her problem? Like the problem was her trust issues. The problem, she didn't come to me and saying everyone I've been with has not been trustworthy. In her head, she'd flipped it to she needed to work on her trust issues. She did not need to work on her trust issues. She needed to work on finding people who were trustworthy and knowing what that meant and knowing what that looked like. In the group coaching, we had a Q&A call, and one of my private clients actually had from a while back, about a year ago, we'd finished about a year ago, had jumped on that group call, and golly, she was like naming off these people in her life that she recognized as toxic just right at the beginning, and I almost started crying. Like, I was so happy for her and so pleased and so proud of the woman she had become compared to when, her and I had first talked, and she had so many toxic people in her life that were trying to, past relationships, just so many people, toxic work situations. And when she was able to recognize nearly instantly that this person was toxic, that is power. That saves you from all kinds of pain. And she's still good. She's still kind. She's still loving. She's still giving. She's still forgiving. She's still sweet. She's just savvy too. And becoming sweet and savvy is a powerful, powerful thing. So if you're one of these people who's like, oh my gosh, I need to work on my trust issues, I would love to flip that around for you and say, it might be better to work on knowing how to find who is trustworthy and how to recognize whether or not they are trustworthy. That is a much more useful skill than trying to trust everyone or learning to trust everyone, because if people have been untrustworthy, you are not the problem. If someone is untrustworthy, they are the problem. Now, your problem becomes learning how to know the difference, right? So that is what I want to encourage you guys to do. And I hope you have a great day. And I cannot wait to check on you again tomorrow for the live event tomorrow. Have a great day.